which is in my favorites here. I just have to click it. And then what it does is that it asks all of the 10 network members. So it's a very, very robust and decentralized request, because you don't have one server, you have 10. And of course, if one server tries to call me like this, I'll try to refresh the web page, and I'll get an error because the criteria are not satisfied. I've got one server who answered me anything else than the others. So so that's the purpose of Dappy. So I can and you can, those settings that you see here, you can attach them to a name that you own. Here, I deployed some 10,000 fake names, but for example, there would be here RChain wallet, which is linked to a unforgeable name. And the idea is that when you purchase the name, you can constrain its distribution to some security criteria. For example, I would say I'm the owner of RChain wallet name on the Dappy network, and I want the resource associated with that name only to be loadable with some very, very high settings. So this would make your decentralized application very, very much more robust of a DNS-based resource, because you would basically say that you need all the Dappy network to agree of this specific resource. So this way, if just one of the Dappy network member tries to fool the clients who wish to access to your website, they will get an error, and they won't be able to overpass this error. So there's a lot of stuff and way to play with it. But for example, here, if I've got two servers which are bad, I can lower my settings and say I only want to ask 5 members of the Dappy network, and I only want those 5 members to have the same answer to load it. And okay, so in this case, a malicious node have been queried, so it does not work. I might retry again, and then here it works. So that's the main point of Dappy. And another issue is that you might get some nodes that are down sometimes. If you deploy your application through DNS and through legacy web, if your server is down for any reason, or if it is under DDoS attack, your wallet is not online anymore. It does not exist. So the idea is that the Dappy paradigm is decentralized. It means it does not need all the network members to be available all the time. And in this case, you just have 3 out of the 10 network members that are down, and your website loads just like if all the network were available. Because Dappy just asks, for example, that one and sees that it's not available and switch to another one, and finally it reaches 7 servers which answer the same thing. So the application is loaded on the browser. So do you see a bit more what it is all about?
Yeah, definitely. Cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm just thinking also when you have situation that you are running your own nodes, maybe just read-only nodes. So in that case, you can also use it at some kind of maybe some different way, right? Because you are trusting your own nodes. Your nodes
Yes.
will not lie, but you can also say, you know,
Yes, but the idea is that the Dappy network is not owned or controlled by me or by any single entity. This is just a simulation. The goal is to have companies or individual developers who are a independent member of the Dappy network. So right there, you would have company names, people from different countries. Of course, this is a test. This is a test case.
I see.
So I won't own the Dappy network. It is up to anyone who has a decent infrastructure to join the Dappy network and participate to the file distribution and maintaining the name registry that you see here, which is a mapping between a human name and a blockchain address.
I see. You're more targeting use cases when you don't want to run your own or your own node or anything, right? You just want to distribute your application without running anything, right? Just
yes,
publishing in the same way as you now publish on some server.
there are, I think, many potential clients. The first one is services who cannot afford to engage a lot of money in network security. With that network, you don't own any physical server, but the advantage is that you don't have to worry about DNS hack because they simply do not happen because all the network is decentralized and your clients are not exposed to DNS hack. So that's the idea. And then, of course, all sorts of decentralized applications might be interested in switching, in joining this new kind of alternative internet.
Yeah. Did you think about now you have some of the code is like most of the code is in JavaScript, right? And so did you think about what functionality do you need so you can put most of the code in on the blockchain, right? Because you know what I'm thinking. Someone can have only like a very thin layer on your own machine and just get all the necessary files from the blockchain. In the same way you are doing this now, right? But most of the code is now in JavaScript. So just, you know, did you think about what kind of stuff do you need? Maybe some kind of HTTP connections that you can, you know, you can skip JavaScript and build this thing directly in the contract.
Yes, you can do. It's not available in the interface, but you can do just a raw files upload, and then, for example, at some address, you would have a PDF. So you can distribute anything. It's not necessarily web applications. Just like a browser might propose you to download some files because it cannot handle them. So it's not necessarily only web applications.
Maybe something similar to IPFS, so you can, you know. so
my project is kind of,
yeah,
it's related to IPFS, but it's not the same thing because it's not peer-to-peer. The Dappy network, you have some nodes which are just like master nodes, who are responsible of the network. Each of the 10 nodes is co-responsible at a tenth of the network. So it's not peer-to-peer, but peer-to-peer often is a big mess, I think, particularly to maintain some stuff like this. I don't know how you can do it without some consensus on who is responsible for the network.
So it must be definitely some kind of layer above. We can, which is very similar to what you are having for Dappy apps, right? For DNS, because when you reserve this name on Dappy network, right? You have authority to change the application on this name, right?
Yes, you have the authority, you own it, and you can link it to anything you want that you have previously uploaded on the blockchain. So of course, all these names are recorded in a smart contract on the RChain blockchain. So this is the idea of storing everything in the blockchain. This makes your infrastructure very robust because you don't have any single server that processes resources or information you need. Everything is on the blockchain. Your smart contract code and your front-end code that interacts with this back code. So everything is there, and so you just need servers to distribute it to you.
So you are not thinking about these servers as a public chain that will be launched on mainnet, right? You will use the existing network, or
I think
you're thinking about
it's lagging. No, the goal is to rely on the RChain main network. But I asked some question already about the price of storing files on the blockchain. That's my big kind of question, because if it costs $10 to store 10 kilobytes, Dappy will suffer from it because people won't join if it's too expensive to upload files. So maybe I'll have to wait for the shards, but a minimal gzip application can be very, very lightweight. So it can be like 3 kilobytes.
I see. So when you're talking about these servers, you're not really thinking about validators.
That's a question I have not answered yet. Will it be required for the Dappy members to have a stake in the blockchain? I don't know. Maybe I guess they can all be just read-only nodes.
I see. Just to download the application. Yeah.
Yes, because from a client point of view, there is no notion of weight. A network member has a weight of 1, and each network members have the weight of 1. So I think it's kind of too complicated to get the proof of stake weight of each member. So I can say, for example, if this one has a weight of 30, and this one has a weight of 1, I won't rely on that one that much. But I think it's too complicated. So each Dappy network members has the same weight of 1, and the client just queries each member with the same.
So I'm thinking that if you have read-only node, what this node will what information this node will give you, right? He will give you the blocks, and inside the blocks you will see validators, right? Because they cannot create blocks. So all of the block, in all the information in the blocks, you will see exactly what is the proof of stake result of the proof of stake. So you can really calculate from that everything, because read-only node is nothing for you. It's just like a relay. You don't want to read-only node to change anything. You just want to repeat what they're receiving. So in that case, you have a notion of weight, because you're having the exactly the validators data.
Yes, but I guess the major part of the Dappy validators won't care of joining the Dappy network, so I cannot get validators to run the additional API that that Dappy needs to run, because there is a small additional API which his only work is to maintain this this mapping and to have it easily queryable by the client.
And
so
this
basically,
this mapping is inside the calling, or?
Yes, it's all stored on the blockchain. What you see here is the equivalent of the DNS system, but in Dappy. So it is a name, for example, Amazon, Google, which is owned by some person, the public key of the owner. So it means that on the blockchain, only the owner will be able to resell this name, or to change the blockchain address it is linked to, and then those informations don't matter. A name is just those three things. And the idea of Dappy is that it's decentralized in comparison to the DNS system. When you do a web request, like Boom.us, the request goes to a DNS server who replies to you and tell you, okay, it corresponds to this. Sorry, I have to find my. It corresponds. So this is the DNS query, and the server tells you, okay, it corresponds to this IP address. But the idea is that on this path, if your application has some sensitive stuff, like a blockchain wallet, it will be hacked very, very probably, just like my Ether wallet got hacked. So the idea of Dappy is that every node maintains the entirety of the DNS, the mapping from name to. So it's not a mapping from name to IP address anymore. It's a mapping from name to blockchain resource. And the idea is that the client, when he wants to know what is the correspondence between a name and a blockchain resource, he asks every single member of the Dappy network. So the information that you see here has been retrieved by asking the 10 members of the Dappy network. So it's very, very probable that this is very, very much accurate in comparison to the DNS system, where you have to trust a single entity to tell you the truth about what is the IP address for this domain name.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the idea. It's all decentralized, and it's all
Lamot, can I ask you a question?
Yep.
This is Chris. How does the client get the list of all of the nodes it can talk to and the parameters of how many answers it needs before it can trust the answer? Where does all that happen?
So this is some issues that cannot be dealt with in a decentralized way, I think. So the first, there will be maybe a sort of a Genesis Dappy network member list. And then all this information is stored on the blockchain too. And the idea is that it's up to the members to decide how they want to govern themselves. For example, if you have 4 network members, but who cannot handle the queries, the amount of queries that are done, maybe they will accept some additional members for the network to be robust. But at first, it will be I'm in charge of the project, so I'll simply accept anyone who is serious enough and wants to give it a try to maintaining some server and running Arnold software plus the Dappy API. But I don't have the answer right now. I guess it's sort.
It is web-based, right? So you're using this. What you're showing us right now. This is a browser interface, correct?
Yep.
Or is it a client for the OS that you download?
This is the Dappy client. The client here, it's just a tab that tells you that at this moment.
Sorry, what you're showing us right now is this client software that's been built for your whatever operating system you're running, or is this a web delivered interface?
No, it's all local. It's
running on Node.js, right? In Electron.
I'm sorry, you guys talked over each other. I didn't hear that.
This is some remote content. All of this is local. It's you have installed it, so it's like just if you were in the settings of Mozilla Firefox. So this is all local. I can create RChain
okay,
accounts.
so you're downloading software. You're downloading the Dappy software client before you get started to use it. Okay, so that initial build of that can have bootstrapped addresses and built into it.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Right now,
gotcha.
there is two endpoints, but the Dappy network does not work fine right now. So
yeah, that's
right
fine.
now there is 2 endpoints. Yes,
I wanted to make sure I understood that.
But
so 2 things. One is I'll try to find the actual code that calculates the cost of what's stored on the blockchain, just to give you at least relative to the other costs, what you can expect to pay to store things. There's within the RChain code base that there's a cost accounting that happens, and each operation, if you will, has a specific amount of flow that it costs. And when you're storing bytes, that amount is scaled by the number of bytes you're storing. But I don't know relative to everything else how much it is just off the top of my head. But that might help you at least gauge cost relative to other operations on the blockchain, if that makes sense. And then once obviously cost accounting is finished, you'll be able to test and get real numbers of cost when you're storing stuff. The other thing I just wanted to throw out there, I don't know if you guys have considered this, and maybe you have and it's just too complicated, is doing kind of what a lot of people did in the early days of Ethereum dApps, which is push large volumes of content into something else like IPFS and then store the hashes of those files in the blockchain, so that you still get all the cryptographic security of using the blockchain to confirm that the file is the way it should be, but you actually deliver the content through IPFS instead of the blockchain. I don't know if you guys have thought of that approach as well, but it might be a way to keep your on-chain costs down, just because it probably will be expensive to store stuff on the blockchain. And if you have a really big application, that might be cost prohibitive for developers.
Yeah, it makes
Yep,
sense.
I see. We discussed a bit last week, and yes, that's an option. If it's too heavy or too costly, for example, if you're updating your application 4 times a day,
Right.
it can be very much expensive.
Yeah, this is really cool
So
though, by the way.
IPFS is a thanks, yes. Or even a centralized server. If you have the hash on the blockchain, then you can even host the GS files on your server.
Wait, say that again?
Yes. Okay. I don't know how it's. I still do not have understand how IPFS works concerning the.
IPFS.
Is there a token?
Yeah, it's
Yes.
really
Is there
straightforward.
a current?
It's even easier than that. You basically, the lookup for the file is the hash of the file. So when you store a file in IPFS, it's stored as a key value pair, and the key is the hash of the file. And then the file itself is stored in the IPFS nodes, and the IPFS nodes talk to each other using a peer-to-peer protocol similar to other blockchain peer-to-peer protocols. And the only thing you have to make sure is that there's always nodes that are responsible for storing the files, which this may be what you're trying to avoid, because you have to build in the economic incentive to ensure that IPFS nodes are storing files, and that otherwise you run the risk that nobody stores the file.
Okay. So that's the idea, because it's not blockchain, there is no economic incentive. That's why a file may be lost on IPFS. That's what I see.
Yeah, so I'm not an expert on IPFS, but I know that they are attempting to solve that part of the problem using crypto, and so, but I don't think they have anything deployed yet that you can run on where you can actually use crypto to ensure that things stay stored and guarantee that they'll be delivered later. But that's not available today. So today, yeah, that would be a hole in the architecture, and maybe not what you guys want to do.
This sounds like a consensus layer on top of the IPFS.
No, I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna speak too much on it because it's not my area of expertise.
I mean, just for the perspective that you want to incentivize something, right? And at the end, you must make some consensus of how do you proceed, right?
Yeah. Well,
So,
let's put it this way. In what you're talking about with this architecture, the DApp developers are the ones, I think, that would be incentivized to run IPFS nodes that serves their dApps. So so that might be all that you need, because then and then but it's still obviously something that's
but
a little
Chris,
bit more
what do you
complicated.
think? What do you think if we replace IPFS with another RChain network, right?
Yeah, no.
Why use IPFS? You could just start your own RChain network and just say, okay, this is like much cheaper because I'm controlling.
Yeah, and there's been talk of that. The challenge today is the cost of using the actual RChain blockchain for storing content is going to be significantly different than if you did it on something like IPFS. Like it's going to be it's not going to be cheap to store bytes, large amounts of bytes on the blockchain.
Even if I run my own nodes.
Yeah, because it's got you've all the other validators have to process all of those bytes as well.
But But I will run all the validators, right? This will be another.
Oh, if you even, in other words,
agree.
if you built an entire RChain shard that was dedicated to serving IPFS style.
Completely.
Oh yeah, that's
because just
gotcha.
replacement for IPFS. Because why should I use IPFS? I can just run exactly the new RChain network. I will have
see what you're
more
saying.
security.
Yeah. You could do something that, I mean, that would be interesting to look at trying to build that. Absolutely. Yeah. But that obviously doesn't exist today for Lemut. How do you pronounce your name, by the way?
I'll change it because it's just it's not my real name. My name is Raphael. Yes, you can say Lamouette as you want, but I'll change to my real name because it's not my real name.
How do you pronounce your real name then? I didn't hear you.
Raphael.
Rafaela. Okay, nice to meet you.
Nice.
Cool. This is awesome, guys. Apologize for getting to the wallet meeting late, by the way. I did not get it on my calendar and slept through the start of it.
Well, we did record it, and Jim will post it onto Colab sometime today. And when he does, I'll put the link in the wallet channel so you and anyone else can view our earlier discussion on wallets.
Cool. Did anything come up question-wise that that didn't get answered or that I could answer?
Well, we feel.
Maybe.
Go ahead.
Maybe this part of the events API. I was chatting with Dominic, and he told me that now you're building this events part.
Yes.
And he told me that listen data on the name. This will not be something that I'm not sure if it will be available on mainnet, but he was telling me that event API will be the thing that should be used.
Yeah, no, it will definitely be available at mainnet. It's one of the features that we need. But it's going to work a lot differently than the current one. And I think in the very first iteration of it, it's going to probably be, my concern is it's going to be a little bit complicated. And so we might need to have some helper libraries written potentially by the community. I'm hoping we have time to do it as a dev team task, but we'll see.
I'm planning to do this part of the work. So I will try it. And but we can use it also to in complement, as Lamouette says, to existing listening on name or listening on a private name. So we'll be able to tell when the block is finalized, and then we can check the data, right?
Oh yeah, that's the intent. But this will be I'm not sure if I completely understood what you said. What Dom is working on is going to replace listen for data at name. It's not that we'll support both.
Yeah.
Because our current listen for data at name has problems.
And this will be events API will be available on mainnet, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, it's a requirement for mainnet.
Okay, cool.
I don't think we can build dApps reliably without it.
Yeah.
So as Tomislav said, it will be a WebSocket interface. Yes.
So the asynchronous listening part of it, yes. What I'm not 100% certain on just yet, because I haven't got through everything, is there's a few calls that you might have to make over the existing gRPC HTTPS endpoint, but I'm not 100% certain on that. So I think right now it might still depend. Some of the setup might require the existing gRPC style interface, like the query of the deploy, and then the listing for the stuff is WebSocket. Yes, because it can happen asynchronously. You can just set up a WebSocket and get updates.
Okay.
So related to gRPC and HTTP, for me it's a little strange to you know that some of the APIs are on one protocol but not on the other, and you know because most of these things you can do with gRPC and WebSockets, you know, or like you can do it in all of these protocols. You can stream, you can do everything. So it would be much easier to have API not related to some protocol, right? That, I know this is not now mixed with protofiles and everything, but
yeah, I'm not I'm not sure exactly which part you're talking about, like if you'd rather see it all gRPC based or not, but
so I'm more thinking that the protocols maybe can be some kind of additional stuff to Arnold, not closely related, because you need protobuf for serialization, right, in some cases, but in most of the stuff, all of these things can be not related to specific protocol.
so what are you suggesting? I'm not sure I understand what you're suggesting.
So when I was creating this API generator in JavaScript, I was, you know, I needed to know more about gRPC and protobuf, and they have these generators for different languages, and you know, and all of these things are not really necessary, you know. So I was thinking that we can have a Scala code that is not related to any protocol and just generate all the other schemas or protocols, protocol related code. So you can then have one API that is published on gRPC, on WebSockets, on HTTP, and you have all the functionality on all the protocols. So,
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's no reason we can't get there, right? That should be the goal.
yeah, there is a good reason, because now in RChain repo you're generating Scala code from protofiles, and this is like the problem. And you don't have support to go other way around. It's not how it's meant to work. So what I was thinking, that it is possible to build some custom code to go the other way around, to create Scala traits, generate some Scala code, and have all of this other stuff generated, like protofiles and everything. Because now you have problems with one-off definitions in protofiles, and also
yeah, I see what you're
so,
saying. Right now the bootstrap for everything that's related to the API is the protobuf, and you're saying make it the Scala code so that you can generate interfaces in any language.
Yeah, and you can much easily generate in other languages.
Yeah,
okay,
I understand what you're saying now. Yeah, I gotcha.
I will try to make some examples of the code. I cannot write everything because I don't Scala too much, and I would like to use some macros, but I think I can make some examples that you know, it's
I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. Honestly, I would love to get there. I think time-wise, we're going to be just so limited, because I mean, we've got to wrap this up like quickly. Yeah. So, but we can always. There's nothing preventing us from refactoring and releasing an update.
Yeah. So
cool.
For now, as you said, these client libraries can do this, you know, beautifying and you know, normalizing or whatever. so that end users who use the Arnold doesn't have to know all of these complications.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I
by the way,
try to do this in JavaScript.
On that, I wanted to say regarding the Dappy conversation we were just having, each one of those nodes for the Dappy network could be our node clients that are read-only on to the blockchain, they don't need to be validators. There's no reason for that, because you're basically the deploys have to obviously be pushed to real validators. You can't deploy code to the network from a read-only node, but you can serve as much as you want from read-only nodes, which is really the architecture that we're shooting for here, right? You don't want to bog down a validator to read content off of the blockchain. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay. So because right now I'm, you know, when, for example, when I'm on Dappy, when I'm deploying an application, for example, I do it with Hello World.
Yes.
It won't work. I'm hitting the first node.
Oh shit! Yeah, you're gonna. I think you're gonna have to have the concept I think in Dappy, I might be wrong on this, of both read and write nodes, because
Okay.
because otherwise you're not going to be able to deploy changes you have to do the deploys to real validators.
Okay, so I guess this as a read-only node does know about who are the validators and what are
Oh
the
yeah.
Okay.
Yes, you could learn that from. Yep.
Okay, and you will have this block API, so you can exactly see from blocks who is doing what.
Okay, but okay.
Chris, is this make sense? To look at the blocks.
What I'll have to know is that, for example, if I want to deploy something now, I want to know who is, for example, the biggest stake in the RChain network, or who are the three biggest stakes nodes.
Why do you need the biggest?
But maybe it's no matter to have an enormous stake to deploy some code.
Yeah, you should be able to. I mean, deploy it technically to any of the validators that are.
Okay.
Their stake shouldn't matter with regards to the deploying code. They can all deploy code.
And Chris, if I want to be sure that my deploy will be published in as soon as possible, maybe I will make the same deploy to all the validators.
Well,
this makes sense, because maybe my deploy will be orphaned if this validator are proposing, and so I want to be sure.
I'm going to hold off on answering that.
Can I really repeat the same deploy, right? It will be recognized as the same, right?
Oh yeah, there's no problem with that. That's not going to cause an issue. I'm just
Jim has good example. When you have some kind of contract that gives you like ticketing numbers, like you want to get some sequencing, and you really cannot get sequencing because only first one will succeed, and the others will be orphaned, and then you need to deploy again, and then.
Well, you shouldn't. You as a DApp developer, you won't need to deploy again because the validators will take care of that for you.
Yeah, but you will find out that your deploy is in orphan block, so you need to deploy again, or am I mistaken something?
I think when you sorry, go ahead.
Did you want me to answer?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah. So when you do a deploy, the validator that proposed it, if it got an orphaned, it should repropose those deploys.
So we have notion of definitely orphan and you'll never join the network.
I'm not sure about that, Tomislav. you're digging into something that I don't have 100% certainty on the answer, so I don't want to give you an answer to be wrong.
Okay, and I can ask Dom, right? Because this is closely related to events.
I'm worried that we're confusing bugs that we're currently seeing in testnet with what we want for mainnet. Like, we're having bugs in testnet which are causing us to spin a little bit, but the ultimate goal is not that. My understanding is that when you propose to a validator, that validator will make sure your propose happens.
I see.
But I think we might be seeing bugs that are preventing that today.
Okay. Cool. And of course, if you following blocks, you will know the status of your deploy, right? This is the goal, right? So you can.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Do something.
Yeah. And with Dom's changes, you'll get it. You'll see your deploy ID, and you'll be able to then listen to the additional blocks that are added, and to see that deploy get finalized.
Yeah. Okay. Can you just also say?
Okay, that's great.
Yeah. Can you say about this storage cost? I was just thinking you will publish something on the RChain, and this space is related also to time, right? How long you want to store it, or
so the original. This is where I need to sync up with Greg on, because the original RChain architecture had a storage cost component to using the chain that mainnet won't have. So in mainnet, the cost will be incurred when you deploy, and that's it, right? There's no ongoing cost for things that are quote unquote stored on the blockchain. And so, but I do know the original architecture that was at least conceived of, but that's not what mainnet has. Mainnet is a one-time cost for deploys.
I see.
So yeah, there is technically a time component to it, but we're not doing, we don't have any lease logic or anything like that for the space.
I see. Okay, thanks.
That, by the way, might be the one of the first shards that we could create for your IPFS idea is to implement such logic, so that you can lease basically content, because I think the costs are going to be prohibitive on mainnet to do one-time storage of things.
Well, in a sense, each deploy is a storage. Sorry.
Oh yeah, every deploy, you're going to pay for because when you push content into a channel, that operation is going to have a cost associated with what you pushed into that channel.
Okay, of course. I guess especially for Dappy, maybe it will be doable on relying entirely on RChain mainnet, but of course for RSong applications, where you have like 10 megabytes files, I guess you'll have to rely on something else.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. But even like currently RSong, the way it's built today it is using the blockchain. Like RSong is also storing things on chain, mostly to demonstrate that it can be done. But I think for mainnet, it's gonna be cost prohibitive. But we'll see. I don't. that's me speculating a little bit, just to be honest, on the cost side. It could very well be that it's doable, and the cost dynamics are we can do this for small dApps. If our song can store songs,
Okay,
Dappy will be much, I imagine, less space intensive than a song would be. Like I would think many dApps would be much smaller than that.
And maybe you can, well,
yeah,
it
standard
can be
web
optimized.
application.
What's that?
You know what I'm thinking? You're downloading, for example, some npm packages. So in Dappy, you can say, okay, this npm package is something that I can hash, and then, you know, I don't have to store it on the blockchain. I can download it, but it's much more complicated.
Yeah, but you'll have a single. Yes, but you'll have a single point of failure if you do that. So I have thought of this issue of big files stored on the blockchain. What is currently available on Dappy is that it stores some of the major JavaScript applications are stored and can be required by web applications. So it's in this. Let me find it. Okay, I just put like a React, a jQuery, and stuff like that. But Dappy will host some of the major JavaScript applications that are very, very widely used by the web developers. So concerning the CSS and JavaScript libraries, Dappy will offer some alternative to some still decentralized alternative to keep the bundle on chain very light.
Right.
Maybe you can add
maybe
all of the. Sorry. I was saying that maybe you can add all of the necessary things for RChain wallet. So, you know, we can have RChain wallet as a single page.
Yeah, of course. When you go on a regular web page, you have the libraries that are 80% of the weight, and the rest is the main application. But often it's like it's 5 kilobytes. If it has been gzipped and minified in a proper way, it's very, very, very light. I don't know what JavaScript libraries Arvin uses to build the RChain wallet. I guess it's like React or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. He's using this end design for UI. So it's based on React. So yeah, and it's also pretty big because this UI library is pretty big. So.
Hey guys, I have to drop off.
Okay,
I'll
ask him. But
sorry, I can answer one more question. Was there a question that was for me there?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I need to drop off right now. Thank you so much for this. Was really cool to see all this. Steve, thanks for hosting the wallet discussion, and again, apologize for showing up so late.
Thanks, Chris, for joining us.
Thanks for access.
Yeah, take care, guys. See ya.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Okay,
thank you, everybody. Yeah. So we'll post these discussions on the Colab channel later on today for everyone to review if they'd like. So we'll meet up again next week on Tuesday to update everyone with progress. So I'll see everyone around this time next week, if not sooner.
Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Goodbye.